I heard their whispers behind my back. The deception when someone else asked them, "Are you all planning a trip?" I didn't find out till a week later that the ladies had planned this beach trip and managed to get out of town without me knowing about it. Wow, have you faced the sting of rejection, my friend? Hi, I'm Carolyn, and welcome to the Walk on Water Show, where I am doing a special edition every day this week, doing a devotional out of my book, Faith That Walks on Water, Conquering Emotional Bondage with the Armor of God. It's a 60-day devotional journal. And like I said, this devotional is in there. It is called Wounded by Friendly Fire. Doesn't it hurt when our friends hurt us, or someone we perceive to be our friends, or we perceive it to be a rejection? It may not be, but we perceive it as one. So there was someone in the Bible who faced a lot of rejection, and that was David. And there was a day when his father sent him to the battle line to take food and supplies to his brothers who were in the Israelite army battling the Philistines. And so David, who was a shepherd, leaves his sheep in the hands of someone else and does as his father requests. When he arrives, he hears the bellowing threats of Goliath, and he sees the army fleeing in fear. And so he's inquiring and asking questions about, who is this giant and what is this all about? And his oldest brother, Eliab, hears, and his anger is roused at David. And it says, 1 Samuel 17:28. Now, Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men, and Eliab's anger was aroused against David. And he said, "Why did you come down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know the pride and the insolence of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle." Did you catch that? How he said, "Who have you left those few sheep with?" Like that's all David could handle was just a few sheep, and left them in the wilderness, like David really left them in a really bad place where something could happen to them. He wasn't concerned about the sheep. He was concerned about making David look bad. And the word he used there, insolence, the Strong's Concordance translate that as evil. So he's calling David evil, prideful. Other translations use the word wicked and deceitful. That's what he's calling his brother, David, who actually just came to bring him food. But when he saw David's courage, thinking that David could take on Goliath, he did not want his brother to show more courage than him. You know, even David's father did not believe that Samuel wanted to anoint David as king of all of his sons. Men's rejection is often God's redirection. God was redirecting David. David wasn't going to enter into a battle of words with his brother. He entered into a bigger battle, a battle against a giant named Goliath, which David won. And so God was redirecting David to be king of Israel. Yes, even the king over his brother Eliab. And so, my friends, we could take a lesson from David. We could just take those words that we hear, those insults and those slurs, and just give them to God. I look back at the years that rejection I faced years ago, and I think, why didn't I just say, I'd love to go with you. I won't be that much trouble, even though I'm blind. Yeah, I need a little help. But you know what? I was afraid that they would still say no. And then my heart would sink even further. Now that I look back on it, I think, do you really want to hang out with people who don't want to bring you along. It brought back so many feelings of me being a little girl on the school playground getting called names. Because you always think when you have a disability, that's the reason you are uninvited. But you don't have to have a disability to be rejected. And many times we perceive something as rejection when it's not. But let's be more like David. Let's take that high road, shrug it off, give it to God, and use it as a stepping stone to what God is calling us to do, just like David did. You know, there was one more gentleman in the Bible who faced rejection. His name was Joseph. And if you recall, the words he said were, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Thanks for joining me today, my friend. I pray that you will find rejection take a different course with rejection, and let that pain and bitterness not surround your heart. The link to the book will be in the description along with Facebook links. And I pray you have a blessed day. And remember, man's rejection is God's redirection. Be blessed.